Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a really high-stakes story. We're talking espionage, a city under siege, and basically a negotiation where life and death hung by a thread. Literally, we're looking deep into the account of Rahab, those two Israelite spies, and this, extraordinary agreement they made just before Jericho fell. And this isn't just some old story. Think of it like a real-time crisis negotiation. Survival depended on quick action and, interestingly, a very specific, visible sign.
Exactly. And our source is mostly Joshua chapter 2 here. They really set up the mission for you, the listener. We're going to unpack the precise conditions of the oath they made. It's surprisingly detailed. And we'll look at the liability clauses, who's responsible if things go wrong. Then we'll really focus on that central object, the Scarlet cord, what it meant, how visible it was, and the psychology of waiting with that thing hanging in the window.
Okay, let's start right there, because the location, it's absolutely key, isn't it? The sources really stress that Rahab's place had this unique advantage.
Oh, completely. It wasn't just near the wall. It was built into the city wall itself. She was living essentially inside the fortifications.
Right, which explains how the escape was even possible.
Absolutely. If she'd lived deeper inside Jericho, once the gates were shut, that would have been it for the spies. No way out. But her window, it basically became an escape hatch over the city's defenses.
And the risk she took. Just think about it. She physically lets them down with a rope right out the window.
A very visible act, potentially from outside the walls, if anyone had spotted that.
She'd be done for. Her whole family. Condemned.
And her thinking didn't stop at just getting them out. Her instructions afterwards show some incredible tactical awareness.
Yeah, tell us about that. She didn't just say good luck.
No, not at all. She gave them a solid plan. Head for the hills immediately. Don't go towards the river yet. Hide out there for 3 full days.
3 days. Why 3?
Well, she figured that's how long the search parties would be out looking for them, especially along the main routes back towards the Jordan. It was about letting the immediate heat die down, giving them time to get clear.
And it worked, didn't it? The plan was solid.
It worked perfectly. The sources say the spies hid, the pursuers found nothing, they came back empty-handed.
And the spies, they get back to Joshua pretty confident.
Oh, yeah. Their report back is striking. Truly, the Lord has given all the land into our hands. They'd seen the fear in Jericho firsthand. They said that people were melting away because of them.
But hang on, before they got back with that intel, there was this crucial negotiation back in Rahab's house. You said it gets really interesting here.
It really does, because the spies make this solemn oath to protect her. But it's not unconditional. It's very much, we promise if, they'd only be guiltless of the oath, meaning the promise holds, if she follows 3 specific rules.
3 conditions for survival, and you mentioned that these terms sound almost like a legal contract, not just a quick promise. Something about a blood covenant. What does that imply here?
Right. When the text talks about blood and guiltlessness, it's signaling that the stakes are life and death. It's mutually binding. If the spies failed her after she kept her end of the bargain, their lives were forfeited. Their blood, so to speak, would be on their own heads.
And the reverse.
The reverse, too. If she failed to meet the conditions, the contract was void. Her safety, her life, that was on her own head. The spies would be free of their obligation. It's this idea of an unbreakable agreement, sealed by accepting the ultimate consequence if you break it.
Wow. Okay, that definitely raises the stakes. Let's break down those 3 conditions. What was the first one? You mentioned visibility.
Condition 1, the sign. Absolutely critical. When the Israelites eventually came back to attack the city, Rahab had to tie the scarlet cord in the exact window she used to let them down.
Not just any rope, not just any window.
No. That specific cord, that specific window, it had to be that sign, clear and unambiguous.
Okay, condition 2.
Condition 2 is about containment, really, the gathering. She had to bring her entire household into her house, father, mother, brothers. The text says all her father's household. Everyone under her roof.
No one left wandering around the city.
Exactly. Total control over who was inside that protected space.
And the third condition, secrecy.
Yes, the secrecy clause. She absolutely could not tell this business of ours. She couldn't reveal anything about the spies being there, the escape, or this agreement they'd made.
If she let it slip.
If she told anyone outside the immediate family involved in the covenant, the spies were immediately released from their oath. They'd be guiltless. The deal was instantly off.
Okay, hold on. Let's look at those liability rules again, because they are incredibly precise. It creates this boundary, doesn't it?
A very sharp one. Inside the house, under the sign, with the family gathered. They're protected. If any harm came to them inside, The spies are responsible. Their blood is on the spies' heads, as the text says.
But the moment someone steps outside,
The liability flips entirely.
I mean, think about that. You've got maybe, I don't know, elderly parents, restless brothers, a whole household cooped up. If her dad just steps outside for a minute.
If anyone goes out the door into the street, his blood shall be on his own head. That person forfeits their protection. And crucially, Rahab and the spies are then guiltless regarding that individual.
That's an immense burden of responsibility for her. She had to manage not just her own actions, but potentially dozens of family members under extreme stress.
It's absolute. Protection was guaranteed, but only within those four walls under that sign. Any deviation, even stepping across the threshold, nullified the promise for that person. It demanded extraordinary trust and immediate, strict obedience.
And Rahab's reaction to all of this, these complex life or death terms.
It's striking how decisive she is. The source says she just responds, according to your words, so be it. No haggling, no what-ifs, just acceptance.
And she acts on it right away.
Immediately. That's the key. The text makes a point of saying she sent them away, they left, and she tied the scarlet cord in the window. Right then and there. No waiting.
Okay, so the spies are gone, hiding for 3 days. But Rahab, she's stuck in Jericho with that cord now hanging in her window. How long did she actually have to wait?
That's a crucial point. The spies get back, report to Joshua. Then there are the preparations for the siege, the marching around the city. Scholars estimate, based on the timeline in Joshua, that Rahab likely waited about 3 weeks.
3 weeks with that cord hanging there.
3 weeks. And that period, that's really the emotional heart of this story, isn't it? Think about the pressure.
Yeah, unimaginable. 2 massive stressors, right? First, the sheer terror knowing your city is marked for destruction.
Definitely. And second, the constant daily pressure of that cord. It was a public sign of a very private, very dangerous agreement.
Absolutely public. Her house is in the wall. People would be walking past that window constantly, seeing this bright scarlet cord hanging there day after day for 3 weeks. It's like a target painted on her home.
It really is. And you have to wonder, what did her neighbors think? Maybe they just thought it was decoration or some kind of marker they didn't understand.
But the text implies they didn't understand its real significance.
Exactly. No one truly understood its significance. Only Rahab and her family knew that this piece of dyed fabric was their lifeline, the guarantee of their survival. It was this public display demanding unwavering private faith and incredibly strict control inside the house for week after week.
That contrast is powerful. For 3 weeks, she's basically flying this banner of hope that, to everyone else, must have looked suspicious at best, maybe even treasonous. And all the while, she has to keep everyone inside while facing whatever hostility or confusion was happening outside.
And that leads us directly to how our sources interpret this for us today, for the learner. The story isn't just about ancient history or oaths. It's about visible commitment. Rahab's faith wasn't quiet or hidden.
No, it required this very public physical symbol.
Right. The commitment she made inside needed this outward sign that lasted, that endured through uncertainty.
So, bringing that metaphor into our lives today, what does it mean for us to hang out our scarlet cord? The sources seem to argue that real faith, or maybe any deep commitment we have, isn't just meant to be felt internally.
It should be visible somehow, persistent, specific. It means defining your boundaries, maybe, like the contract did for Rahab.
Think about how strict that contract was. The spies basically staked their own integrity, their lives, on her willingness to keep her family inside and display that sign publicly.
So it asks you, the listener, what's the defining commitment in your life? Maybe in your work, your ethics, your relationships. What's so important that you're willing to make it visible even if others don't get it or even challenge it?
And crucially, Rahab didn't take the cord down after a day or two because people were staring. She didn't wait until the Israelite army showed up and it felt safer.
No, she put it up immediately and left it there for weeks, trusting the outcome even when the immediate reality was fear, siege, confusion.
The world might not understand why you hold to a certain standard or display a certain value.
But the sources suggest that very boldness, that willingness to be visible, is actually part of what makes the commitment real, what makes the covenant work, in a way. It's not just about the promise, it's about the enduring, visible sign of that promise.
It's fascinating how much weight the entire story puts on that seemingly small detail, the cord. The survival of a whole family hinged on that piece of red material and her absolute follow-through.
It really highlights the difference between just agreeing to something in the moment and making a durable, visible commitment that you stick with, even when it's hard.
So we went from the secret spy mission, a whispered deal in the dark,
to this incredibly bold, public declaration of hope and allegiance, symbolized by that scarlet cord just hanging there for weeks, a challenge to the whole city.
that power of visible commitment. It really stays with you. Rahab's faith wasn't passive. It demanded that public, physical representation, and it had to last through that long, tense waiting period.
And that cord wasn't just for outsiders. It was a daily check for her family, a reminder. Stay inside. Trust the promise. Protection is here, within these boundaries we agreed to.
Which brings us to that final question for you, the listener, connecting this ancient negotiation to right now. If your core commitments, the things you truly believe in, require some kind of visible sign to be real, what's the scarlet cord you are willing to display openly in your work, your community, your family, even when it might be misunderstood, and even when it requires sticking to some tough rules yourself?